And I am Keith Mason, your expert. So I hope that I can share some of my expertise with you today. We're looking again at some of the latest topics that are hot off the press from IElTS. So these are very recent topics. So if your IElTS exam is coming up soon, you really want to listen to this. If you're watching this later on, then there will still be lots of vocabulary and tips that will help you through your IElTS exam. So please do listen carefully, join in. If you want to send me some messages, then please do. That would be really nice. And I hope you enjoy it. So this topic today, we're looking at describe an argument that two of your friends had. So remember, you have 1 minute. Make use of that time. You'll have a pencil and paper and you can write down some notes. And remember, when you're taking those notes, that you don't want to write everything down that you're going to say and then read it. That's not going to happen. You haven't got enough time to do it, number one. Number two, it's not going to be fluent when you speak. It's going to sound fake. Okay, so really you don't want to be doing that. Okay, also, again, remember my story bank. So go back and think about my story bank. Think about some stories that you can bring into the topic. So while you're having that 1 minute, be thinking about what stories you can bring into the topic, how you can thread them in, a little bit of stretching the truth, tiny little lie maybe, doesn't matter. In this case, everywhere else in life it really does matter. But here it doesn't matter. The examiner is not interested in whether this is a true story or you're making it. He's not interested. The examiner won't care. It's only about your fluency, your vocabulary. Okay, so that's what and your grammar, of course, that's what the examiner will be looking for. Okay, so this one. Yes, describe an argument that two of your friends had. You should say when it was. Okay, so again, we're talking about the past. So it happened last week. It happened 2 weeks ago, a month ago, last year, 2 years ago. It happened 10 years ago. It was in 2020. You might want to be specific with the year. It was in January 2020. Okay, so if you can remember exactly when it was. So when it was, what the argument was about. So in this one, you have more opportunity to talk on each of the topic of the questions apart from when it was. That's not going to take you very long. What was the argument about? Okay, so you've thought up, you've remembered some argument. I think all of us have had a situation where our friends have been arguing, and you know, we're going to talk here about how it made us feel. So I don't know, it might be that they had a disagreement of opinion. It might be that they wanted to do something. One wanted to do one thing and the other wanted to do something else. That could be what it was, and so they had an argument. It may be one has taken something from someone else. You know, lots of different reasons why friends might argue. So what it was about, how the problem was solved. So how was that argument solved? It may be that you intervened in the argument. You intervened in the argument. That's a possibility. And also say how you felt about it. Okay, so obviously you're going to talk about your emotions at the time. So here's some words. So this is a few about how you feel. So you might feel very upset when other people argue. It can really make you feel upset. It's very upsetting. So it made me feel very, very upset. It's very upsetting to see my friends arguing. It might have made you feel annoyed. You might be angry that your friends had argued. So you might get annoyed about that. So it says how, if we go back, it says how was it solved? You You might say, I was the peacemaker. Or a better one, the mediator. The mediator, the word mediator comes from middle. It's the same root as the word middle. So mediator, medium, middle, medium, mediator. So the one that brings the two together. Okay, a mediator is someone who brings two parties, two people together, or two sides together. The mediator. Okay. You may have calmed them down. Okay, I calmed them down. So calm down means they're very angry and then they become less angry. They become more peaceful, more agreeable. Okay, so then they get on better with each other. So another really good word, and this is again a band 8 or band 9 word, reconcile. You reconciled the two groups. Now be very careful, because if you're not band 7, band 8, you don't want to be using very high vocabulary, because it won't go with the rest of everything else that you've talked about. Okay, so you use this vocabulary if you're really pushing, that you're quite confident with your grammar and your general vocabulary, and you can use these higher scoring words. So to reconcile, to bring the two parties together. See both sides. I could see both sides of the argument. You could see what this person was saying. You could also see what that person was saying. You try to reach a compromise. They try to reach a compromise. Sorry, I've gone ahead there. Let's go back. No, I can't. What am I doing? There we go. It's working now. So they tried to reach a compromise. It was a very heated argument. They got very angry. A heated argument. And they became irate. That's another word for angry. Very, very angry. They were irate. It's really the highest word you could use when you're talking about anger. Irate. So these are really, really good words. Heated argument. If you're on a band 6, 5, you could say a heated argument. Irate is a really good word. Okay, so these are words you could use when you're explaining about the argument. And remember, you can bring in your story bank at this situation. I don't know, if you remember my story bank, if you go back and have a look at that, I talked about when I was on a boat with my friend and I fell in the water. Well, that could have turned into an argument, or I could have created something around that my friend argued with someone else who'd untied the boat. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go back and look at that video. It's quite an important video, tricks and cheats on the IElTS exam. So go back and have a look at that. So yeah, heated and irate. So in the part 3, what do people usually argue about? Who are you most likely to argue with? How can you avoid arguments? Okay. So what do people usually argue about? There's a nice word there, trivial. Trivial. That means not important things, not really very important. So they're arguing about something that's not important, doesn't matter. Very trivial thing. They may argue about decisions, what to do this or to do that. So it may be a decision is why people are arguing. Some people have very strong opinions. Okay, so it might be a religious argument, for instance. So a very strong opinion about their religion, very strong opinion about their politics, and that could be something that creates or causes the argument. So who are you most likely to argue with? Well, it might be your family, your brothers and sisters, your siblings, your peers, your colleagues, people at work. So other students, your peers, maybe the people that you would argue with. And how can you avoid arguments? Well, avoid disagreements. Don't argue. Don't disagree with people. Or you might just say, look, in this situation, we will agree to disagree. That's quite a nice one, because you're saying, you know, obviously you think this, I think that, would agree to disagree. Okay, so I hope that's been really helpful for you. Remember everything I've said about the story bank. Go back and watch that video if you haven't seen it. The video on tricks and cheats, go back and watch it. And build yourself a story bank so you can bring it into all of these questions. Okay, particularly the part 2, where it's up to you to develop the answer. Yeah, you need that story bank. Lovely. I will see you next time on IELTS and ESL Expert TV. Bye-bye.